You are watching the video version of the Marketing Should Be Fun podcast. We are so glad that you are here. If you prefer to listen to podcasts, you can find the Marketing Should Be Fun show on any of your favorite podcast platforms, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else. But most of all, we're so glad you're here, and I hope that you enjoy today's conversation. Well, welcome back to another episode of Marketing Should Be Fun. My name is Austin Savage. I'm here with my good friend and business partner, Kelsey Zarko. Kelsey, we just finished our staff meeting. Now we get to record our podcast, all of the fun things. How are you?
We do. I'm great. I was thinking I should get a t-shirt that says good friend, business partner, because every episode you introduce me as your good friend and business partner.
That would actually be like the sweetest thing ever, I think.
Christmas gift idea. There you go.
Do you still have the mug that I got you that said like best business partner or something?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
What does
Sometimes
it say?
I bring it to our staff meeting and I just hold it up.
Is it?
I think it says
World's best business
World's
partner?
best business partner. Yes, that's what it is.
Okay.
I love it.
That's really fun.
The ultimate
All right.
words of affirmation and gifts. Those are my two faves. So it was like the perfect gift for me.
Heck yes. Just the best, like just daily affirmation to just pull it from.
Just
I think that's
drink
awesome.
my coffee. Think about it.
Kelsey, for our this or that today, there's so many, anytime we're approaching our this or that, I'm sure you do it too. I just Google the great this or that questions.
Yep.
And there's like articles with like 1,000 this or that questions. But it's the craziest thing. I feel like we've only had like 20 episodes or something. And I feel like we've already got through all of the this or that.
You're like
questions.
repeating them. You're like, did we do this one yet? Yes, we did.
But I found an interesting one today, and
Okay.
I'm curious what your perspective will be. So if you had a time machine and had to use it to go to one of these two dates, would you choose to go back in time and have to live in 1970 or to go forward in time and have to live in 2070?
Ooh. I would for sure go back to 1970. I think it
Really?
would be, I think it would be fascinating to see what the world was like then. And like, I don't know. My parents were also born in 1969. So I would be like seeing their childhood, and I don't know. I'm watching Daisy Jones and the Six right now, which is also kind of in that time period.
Interesting.
I'm like, hey, what a time to be alive. Let's go check it out.
Very cool. I honestly, I was like 97% sure that you would say 1970.
I feel 97% sure you're going to say the other one.
I think I would. Yeah. I was just so curious. Theoretically, I'll still be alive in 2070. I would hope. But
Yeah.
I'm just really curious, like what is the world gonna be like then? You know, like will it be that much different than it is right now? I mean, like with how fast technology like adapts, it seems like the answer would be absolutely yes. But at the same time, like maybe not. Maybe it's very similar to our experience now. I don't know.
Yeah, where you think 1970 doesn't sound that long ago, but it's it's a very long time ago. And so how much things have changed since then. Even just like those pictures they show of places like where people all have their phones out versus 25 years ago, nobody had their phone out. Like those kind of things I think are fascinating.
Yeah. And you're like, I mean, so like the internet has happened in between 1970 and now, like, and then just think of how different it is from when the internet started to like right now. And so it's like, what new sort of technology kind of advancement happens between now and 2070? I don't know.
Man,
but pretty crazy. So, with all of that in mind, and I guess just, future thinking and all of that stuff, we have a fun little episode here. And it should be, I don't know, kind of just fun. It's always fun to talk through trends and what people predict and, what we're seeing and all of that stuff. But there's a company called Hubspot, if you're not familiar with them. Great leader in the content marketing space. And I'm a big fan of their software. They have a kind of CRM software that has like a bunch of marketing capabilities and things like that. And yeah, great stuff all around. I've gone to their inbound conference before, and I can't wait to go back because it was a lot of fun. Met some really cool marketers there a while ago. I feel like that was like 2019 or something. And in my head,
whole
that was
different
like
world.
Yeah, seriously. In my head, that wasn't that long ago, but when I really think about it, I'm like, that was kind of long ago. But
Mhm.
um, anyways, every year they have a content marketing trends article, or just a marketing trends article that they update. And this at the beginning of this year, 2023, they updated it as usual, and we're almost 5 months into the year. And I thought it would just be fun to kind of talk through, hey, here's kind of what they predicted for this year. What are we sort of seeing so far? So
Yeah.
this article we're kind of going through, we'll link it in the description of this episode. But this article also is just a great example of just like a random content marketing tip of like they probably created this marketing trends article like 10 years ago or
Yeah.
however long they've been around.
Mhm.
And you can even see like when I was reading through it earlier this week, and there's so many parts where they like forgot to update like 2022 to 2023 or
Yeah.
something like that. And it's just because it just works. Like they just keep
Mhm.
repeating and updating kind of the same article and just changing whatever needs to be changed each year. And that's a great tip for you is, especially if you have a blog, if there's ways that you can just create one piece of content that you can update every year rather than having to create something new every year, that can be really valuable from an SEO perspective and just a time perspective for you. That can give you just some simple sort of quick wins. So just a random
Yeah.
little
I
tidbit
love
there.
that.
So we got some content marketing trends we're highlighting, and then some social media trends we want to highlight and just kind of talk about. So you ready to dive in
I
here,
can't
Kelsey?
wait. Let's
Okay.
do it.
So content marketing trends. In this section, I love they highlight that 47% of buyers view 3 to 5 pieces of content prior to engaging with any sort of like, they talk about like sales reps and that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
I just love like in this section, they just highlight like when it comes to content marketing, this is why it matters because people
Mhm.
are viewing multiple pieces of content. I would argue that it's probably more than 3 to 5
Totally.
before they're reaching out to, get your service. But
Mhm.
the first trend that they highlight in this section is that they predicted that video will remain the top marketing content format. So Kelsey, let me throw it back to you.
Yeah.
What thoughts does that bring up? What have you seen this year so far?
Yeah. I can totally see why they're saying that. I think there's probably a lot of truth in it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, especially with we kind of interact with this with like video podcasts, with obviously like videos on social media, reels. Reels are still a huge part of Instagram. And now we see them even being, that's a new thing for 2023 that they're
Yeah,
natively available on Facebook.
totally.
So I think a lot of platforms are picking up on this and trying to make it just more integrated and seamless on their own platform.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say yes. I don't think that I would ever still coach a client that we only would create video content. And I don't think that's what
Mm-hmm.
the trend is saying either. There is still a lot of creativity behind photography and graphics and just some of
Yeah.
that feel. But yeah, I think video is definitely here to stay for 2023. And you're seeing a lot of creative, raw ways to use it too. Like if I
Yeah.
would go back and kind of update the article, I would even say less produced video is a
Mm-hmm.
big trend for 2023.
Totally. It is really interesting because all of our clients are different in how they incorporate or even feel comfortable with kind of incorporating video. We have one client that has seen just a ton of success. She'll I think we post like 3 to 4 reels a week
Hmm. We
um,
sure do.
for this client, and she has seen a lot of success through that. Like it has
Hmm.
taken time, but I mean she has had these like huge just bumps
Yeah.
in followership based on videos that go in a small sense
Hmm.
kind of viral within her niche and within her audience. But she's bumped up from like 4,000 to, I mean, she's up over 20,000 followers
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
And a lot of that has been on the back of video content,
Hmm.
including, a bump that happened this year.
Hmm.
But it's interesting. Another client of ours that we have maybe a more like balanced rhythm. We'll often do just like 1 or 2 reels a week, and the rest are static, kind of designed posts. For that client, I mean, we have seen the posts of theirs that have gone more viral, like that have had up over 1,000 likes, which is pretty
Hmm.
solid for their kind of audience size. Um, have all been the static posts, have
Yep.
very rarely been the video posts. And so I don't think that video from a engagement standpoint is always guaranteed to be the
Yeah.
best option. But it is true that you're still, even though Instagram has balanced out, some of their algorithm and it's kind of trying to bring back some of the, focus on photography and imagery and
Mhm.
that kind of stuff, you still are rewarded from a reach perspective
Yeah.
with video content. So I definitely think that there's that sort of push and pull with
Mhm.
a big trend like this.
Yeah. I think it comes back to also just needing to know your audience and seeing what connects with them.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, sure, you may get, 20,000 people viewing your reel, but if they're not going to stick around and be a
Totally.
connected part of your brand, it's not necessarily the win that you might be looking for. So it's good
Yeah.
to take all that into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to jump to the second trend here. They highlighted that they predicted that blogging isn't going anywhere. I think without a doubt, we would agree
Yes.
with this. It's a core service here at Savage Content Collective for a reason. But Kelsey, for you, what thoughts does that kind of first bring to mind?
Mhm. I love this one because I love blogs. I like just personally love to
Totally.
read them and consume them. I would say for this one though, the difference we see and why some people will try to argue like blogging is over, it doesn't get a lot of interaction or
Hmm.
reach. Um, there is a really powerful formula to like sharing your blog on multiple engines. And I
Yeah,
think that is how like I see the shift of how I used to like go to someone's blog to read it. And now I get their email and I click it because they put their
exactly.
latest blog in it. So I think it's also just being strategic about how you're using your blog.
Hmm.
But we are humans who love stories. And there is like blogging is like the original, like content marketing storytelling. People would
Yeah.
write out their thoughts or show, like through their new like home renovation or tell
Hmm.
you the story of like their health journey or whatever. So I think it's a fun way to get long form content to people.
Yeah.
And I do think a lot of us, even though we're being trained to have shorter attention spans and like have video, like
Hmm.
things catching our attention, we do love that feeling of like sitting down with a newsy piece of
Yeah.
long form content, whether you're learning or being entertained or whatever the purpose is.
Hmm. I mean, we talked at the beginning of like, hey, whenever we're looking for this or that questions, we search, Google, and we're reading
Yep.
an article whenever that
Mm-hmm.
happens. Like, we're just reading this list of this or that
Mm-hmm.
questions that somebody took the time, on the
Yes.
back end of their website to create this article. And so from that sense, I mean, we all know, right? We're Googling things where, we're looking
Mm-hmm.
for resources all the time about the most random parts of our life or questions that we have. And often, the primary thing that is going to show up is typically going to be some sort
Yeah.
of resource or article or page on a website, those kinds of things to kind of compile that together. That makes it very true. Like, blogging isn't going anywhere. It's a very real part of that. But I love what you said that from a content standpoint, blogging isn't one of those things that you want to just for that to be kind of your only egg in the
Yeah.
basket. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
is really valuable, especially if you need some of those quicker wins from an engagement standpoint. It's really, really valuable to pair that with things like email and social that you are using to deliver that
Mm-hmm.
content to your audience, that you're using to kind of bring attention and eyeballs onto that piece of content quickly, while you're also then letting it kind of do its thing in the background, whether that's from an SEO perspective or just kind of that human connection um,
Yeah.
standpoint as well.
Totally agree.
Love it. All right. Blogging isn't going anywhere. Totally agree. Uh, the third trend that they highlighted is that they said that case studies will continue to drive leads and brand credibility in 2023. And case studies, like, generally, typically, HubSpot has a lot of like B2B audience, so that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons that they highlight this. But I think what that brings to mind for me, kind of first, is almost to like replace case studies with like storytelling. Like, when you think of case studies, it's like, okay, we want to prove that our software solution works. And, we're going to show you that it does by kind of highlighting how it helped this company or how it's
Yeah.
helped, fill in the blank industry. And I think just with this trend, if you were to swap out, like, storytelling will continue to drive leads and brand credibility overall. I think then that sort of crosses the barrier between
Mm-hmm.
B2B brands, B2C brands, direct to consumer stuff, whatever you are kind of doing. Uh, Storytelling will definitely be a part of it, which we would absolutely agree with, no matter what
Yeah.
the platform is. So what thoughts does that
Yeah.
bring to mind for you?
Yeah, I totally agree with the storytelling. I also think based on my former industry, some of the
Hmm.
case studies is almost makes me think of just like social proof. Like people
Exactly.
want to see so what that might be a story or I remember like telling stories about my experience, saying like, "Oh, since we started using this product, my kids haven't missed this many days of school or
Right.
whatever." Or also like I don't know how many of our listeners remember this, but like Norwex was like it's still a really popular
I think we
product
use
and
their stuff,
brand. Yeah,
honestly.
totally. So do we. But they used to have this thing where every time they would teach like a class or have a
Mm.
party, they would like do this test with like this raw chicken breast and they would, show how the product would clean it. And obviously that's transferred to social and a lot of those
Yeah.
just kind of giving you the proof behind the product. And so some of that comes to mind for me too with case studies of just
Hmm.
telling our, audience and showing them and bringing them to the story and helping them see what it is that the product can do or the, whatever it is you're selling.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think what was it on a recent episode? I think it was actually the last episode. We talked about like how everybody wants to see those stories of transformation.
Yeah.
Um and I mean, I think that really plays in here. Is like
Hmm.
how are you featuring not only just like how your product or service functions or what it is that you're doing for the people that you serve, but also just maybe taking a step forward and kind of communicating to people that like this is how someone's life was changed or this is how someone's business was changed as a result of incorporating our product or service. And the same thing can happen for you, and it's a way to just kind of humanize that product feature, and kind of get the win that you're wanting to do is you want to communicate that your product or service works and could help someone,
Yeah.
but you're doing it in a way that is much more human, much more interesting, because you're telling a story and sort of communicating it that way. So very, very valuable. Love it. On to the social media trends.
Oh, yay.
Your
Let's
favorite?
go.
No, I don't remember what the numbers are wrong now. I almost said number 16 because that's what it is in this article. Yeah, like in the U.S., 79% of people have some sort of social media account. So that's really interesting. But
Yeah. I think that's very believable,
totally,
especially here.
the uh, the first trend on the social side is selling on social media, and kind of what they mean by this is they specifically mention like Instagram has Instagram shopping, Facebook has
Hmm.
Facebook shops. I know TikTok has been testing a lot of like e-commerce options, and things like that. I'm curious, have you ever personally like actually purchased something through Instagram directly?
So here's my thoughts on this. I think it's coming. Like I think we are being more and more
100%.
conditioned to it. And so it's
Yeah.
not, like I bet if we record this in another 6 months, I'll have done it.
Yeah.
I have not specifically shopped it off of like when you, tag a product or even just like the newer functionalities that there are right now.
Mhm.
But I have shopped things off of people's Instagram so many times in their stories. Like a lot
Right.
of boutiques will do this where they'll do like a story sale,
Mhm.
and they'll, put things up and you like DM them what you want and they send you the invoice and
Yeah.
it's like kind of ridiculous, but it's also it feels like you're talking with a human because it's in
Mhm.
their stories. And so I do see this play out even like on a small business side,
Yeah.
um, in that way where maybe you can't get in front of people at a event, but like you can do the same thing in your stories and the inventory is wiped out so fast. So that's
Totally.
kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think for me, the only thing that I have personally experienced is, I mean, I still will purchase random things through like Instagram ads that I see.
Hmm.
Um, I
Totally.
remember like I think it was for Christmas. I got you and Mitch Remarkables. Was that for
Hmm.
Christmas? Was that
I think so.
okay? I
It
don't
was
remember.
like, it was like our second Christmas gift. You were like, I thought about it. And
Well,
then
that was
we were
through it
like,
was through an
oh, you should
Instagram
do
ad.
it.
So Remarkable, like, I mean, I get all their ads, even though I've already purchased their product, which doesn't make any sense. But um, it was like a 20% off, coupon or something, and I was like, oh, I've been thinking about it, so I'm just gonna do it. And so, like, I just went in, and that was, I mean, an example to me of social media working on the sales
Hmm.
side, but that wasn't a direct kind of purchase through that. So
Yeah.
I do think it's gonna take I feel like we're almost there, but I think it's going to take some time for that to
Hmm.
really become like a common thing.
Yeah. It reminds me of like, remember how it used to be weird to buy things online? Well, you probably don't because you're not that old, but
I'm so much younger than you.
Old lady gray hair
Yeah.
coming in. But like it was like, oh, I still want to go into the store and see it. And now we don't
Yeah.
feel that way at all. Now I feel like I still want to go to the website and see it.
Mhm.
And now that's going to slowly go away and it'll just be like, I'm fine to shop it right here. So I
Totally.
don't know how I feel about that from like a human perspective, but it's interesting.
I know. It is I mean, absolutely to you're you're gonna discover new products on social media all the time. Like,
Hmm.
I think that's a no-brainer, is like, I'm the only place that I'm finding new
Yeah.
people, new brands, new anything is social. Whether it's like
Hmm.
I just see their content organically, or whether, somebody just sends me like a post from an account that they
Hmm.
follow, and then I start following them and find out about this,
Yep.
whatever. So on that front, absolutely. But that's interesting. I don't know. It definitely something to keep an eye on,
Yeah. We'll have
especially
to circle
for
back to that.
yeah, especially for like if you're a product based business, like
Hmm.
absolutely, that's something that you should be
Yes.
looking for, as that
Hmm.
continues to be solidified. All right, next trend is about TikTok. So all the interesting things to talk about here. It's been an
Okay.
interesting year for TikTok. Um,
Truth.
but prediction at the beginning of the year from HubSpot was that TikTok will continue to gain brand interest. So that, like, really that we'll see more brands kind of get involved with TikTok and, start creating content over there. Overall, TikTok, I mean, kind of famously, has over a billion global users. So, like, it has
Hmm.
grown very quickly, has been a very successful social media platform, though this year has been under a lot of scrutiny from the government of the United States. And
Just, no big
no
deal,
big
low
deal,
key.
which has been really interesting. And I have not seen that correlate to, any concern among like users of the platform for the most part. And I know we were just talking like beforehand that, this is the first year that you've actually started using TikTok personally,
Hmm.
Kelsey. um,
Totally.
but it is really interesting. I mean, I haven't read like, all of the updates, but I mean, I believe Montana was kind of the first state to actually like not allow access to TikTok. Am I right in that?
I don't honestly know the answer to that because, I'm still new to my TikTok life, but
Totally.
I do know that it's been, like that may be true. And then also that business, certain workplaces were like not allowing employees to have
Mm,
it on their phone. I mean, this whole
yeah.
government scrutiny skepticism has been around since TikTok started. And now it's like, I feel like that part is really picking up
Yeah.
speed. But like I had told you, at the same time, I feel like there's also this wave of us who were skeptical at first, who've just been worn down enough that we're
Yeah.
like, whatever, my phone's already recording everything I'm doing. I'll go ahead and just download it.
Well, that's not the reason though that you weren't
I
downloading it,
no.
right? It was just because it was like popular and you just wanted to
It was
like
just
go
one more
against the
thing to
yeah.
like keep me on my phone. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, I
totally.
think we have a new wave of people that are like, well, it's kind of like when, this is a terrible example, but like all of our grandmas have Facebook now. It's like the
Yeah.
next wave of just like, this is where I need to be to find things out. And so here I am.
Yeah. I mean, TikTok has given us so many good things. like like Elise Myers, uh,
Yeah.
that was she was originally a TikTok gift to the world, and
Yeah.
has since, grown her brand beyond that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that TikTok really provided the opportunity for people just like Elise and so many others, that we have kind of learned about. Like, I know even just recently, like, there's so much music that I have
Hmm.
discovered and found through TikTok. And so I think it absolutely makes sense. Um, it takes time, and there were early voices. Like, I remember like the old days of TikTok when Gary Vee would be like, "You need to jump on this like right now. You need to, if you're not creating TikTok, right TikToks right now, then you're just missing out." And in some ways, like, people who are saying that stuff, there was wisdom in that, of being early on a platform. But as it has matured, and assuming nothing crazy happens throughout the rest of 2023, I think it's absolutely worth considering. How creating content over there can pair with your brand, or if maybe it makes more sense to invest some energy on that platform.
Hmm.
It's very valuable.
Hmm. It also brought me great bathroom storage ideas. So here we are, folks. 2020, 2023 TikTok trends.
Bathroom storage ideas. I love it. I think
There's
that's
a
awesome.
whole world out there of organization tips on
Are
TikTok.
you on bathroom storage talk? Is that like what the hashtag is for it?
It is not.
Okay,
It is not.
got it.
Sorry, we haven't. I don't think that exists yet. But book talk, yes.
Absolutely. That's awesome. All right. Next trend here. Most marketers will focus on just 3 to 5 social media platforms. So lots of things kind of in the subcopy here, but just on that sort of trend overall, I think that's really interesting because, especially for like larger brands, it's not uncommon to see people kind of just
Hmm.
spread their focus
Yeah.
sort of across as many platforms as they can. And it kind of gets a negative rep duplicating content across different content engines or different
Hmm.
platforms sometimes gets a negative rap. I don't think that it really deserves the negativity that it always receives. I think there's wisdom in trying to tailor content as best you can to the platform that you're posting it to, but there is a lot of crossover that can take place
Hmm.
across many of those platforms. But just like initial thoughts on this one is I think there is a lot of wisdom to marketers and brands trying to focus their efforts on 3 to 5 social media platforms. What do you think?
Yeah. I think we're also seeing people be present across a lot more social media platforms. So
Hmm.
maybe now we're not feeling like, oh, if we're not here, then we're not getting this sector of people. We're like, well, then we probably will get them here.
Yeah.
There's just a little bit more like diversity in, how many apps we have on our phone, whether we like it or not.
Hmm.
So I think that that makes total sense. And I think we, especially depending on like the size of your team and the size of your brand, we give this advice to clients like, hey, let's start with Facebook and Instagram and really like nail in that audience and
Hmm.
develop that. And then we can add in like some TikTok, after we get some reels going or,
Yeah.
that's an example. But I think there's nothing wrong with, doing what you can manage and, doing it well and being creative and really focusing on the human side of that brand and then scaling out from there.
Totally. Yeah, you don't want to sort of dilute your efforts in a sense where it makes it very hard to be strategic or just to keep up with it all if
Hmm.
you are just trying to get the post in on as many platforms as
Yeah.
possible. Where we've seen I mean, we have clients who just want like they're like we want to just build an audience on Instagram right now,
Hmm.
and we have seen some really successful things for those clients, or we've had clients who are like, honestly, our audience is not on Instagram, and
Yep.
they're like, we really think that we should focus on Facebook and LinkedIn. And as we kind of talk with them, we're like, you know what? Honestly, for where you're at, that probably makes sense,
Mm.
and that's great. And they have seen some solid things from that in just kind of a different capacity on those platforms too. So I think that it is good to sort of take a step back and think like, who am I trying to reach? Where are they, spending their time?
Yes.
And how can I kind of fit into some of the narratives and some of the content styles that they're seeing on those platforms overall?
Hmm. Well said.
Sweet. All right. Well, those are the kind of trends that we wanted to highlight. There's like 40 more overall marketing trends if you're really curious and want to click over to the article. But always just fun to just kind of, look back and think like, okay, what were the things that we were excited about before the year and how do those sort of hold up to how the year has gone? So, Kelsey, I'm going to throw our final encouragement over to you today. What's one final piece of advice or encouragement you have for our audience?
Yeah. For some reason, the quote just popped in my head of the time's going to pass anyway. So you might as well show up, do the things. Don't let the trends throw you off too much. Don't let them make you think you have to change your whole strategy, but just be here and be consistent. And what you have to share with the world matters. So, however, you're going to do that, we are here to cheer you on to do it.
All right. We'll see you right back here next time.